All right, everybody, welcome back to Project Fog once again. Tonight our focus is advocacy, and we have two very special guests tonight, and I want to thank each one very much for coming on. We have Matt from Suck My Mod and Josh from Rockstar Vapes.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, honored to be on. Thanks for the invite, guys.
Without doubt, we're honored to have you. Thank you so much for coming on. Like I said to you, you guys, especially you, Matt. I mean, you got like I said in that video I did when I did the impression. You got more subscribers than our people living in Montana.
That might be true, at least in my. I'm not that cool though. Josh isn't very cool either.
No.
We're both big nerds.
I'm definitely less cool than Matt, though.
Oh, whatever.
You know what? I was surprised that I seen like pictures of you, Matt. You're a lot bigger than I first thought you were. Like in the videos, I didn't think you were. You're above 6 feet, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm 6'3".
Yeah.
Vanessa's pretty tall too, so I think people probably think she's smaller. Like she's like 5'9", so then they see me next to her and probably think I'm like 5'10" or something. But yeah, I'm a big dude. That's always like the first thing everyone says when they see me at an event.
Yeah. Well, Vanessa's taller than me.
So what are you guys vaping on tonight?
I am vaping on the Hobo V3 on the Teutonian DNA 40. What else do I got here? I got the Snow Wolf, and then my desk is a mess. I've been using the Ubertoot a lot on this XVO stick. It's a little DNA 40 mod that the tank kind of sits down inside of it. It's pretty cool.
That looks really cool.
He's Ubertooting it.
It took me like months to get that thing, man. It's pretty good. I kind of wish they were more available for people, though. I am vaping on the.
Uh-oh.
No, that was me. All right. So we have. All right, Josh, what are you vaping on?
I've got the Goliath RTA with the third eye drip tip on the Vapor Shark DNA 40, and I've got some Sound Check by On Tour E-Liquid. That's about it. Just one steady one tonight. That's it.
Awesome. Hank, what do you got, pal?
Oh, I have the Subverter Mini, which I've actually really been liking this, even though there's nothing different about it. With some cranberry peach juice, which is very refreshing, surprisingly. And as always, the Royal Hunter with the green cloud from Avail, which this shit is unbelievable.
That's the line you just reviewed, right?
Yeah, that's the stuff that has floral in it, and I thought it was going to taste like potpourri, but it's amazing. And then the .com. And some Bonnet Biscuit from Angry Amish.
Bonnet Biscuit?
Yeah.
Yep.
I gotta try.
Tastes like the cinnamon sugar butter on the rolls from Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah, that sounds like it's pretty good.
It's pretty fucking good.
How do you like the .com, Addy? I just saw that a few days ago.
I actually really like it. It's different. There's a couple things I don't like about it, but overall it's not bad.
Okay, Robbie, what are you vaping on, buddy?
Pretty good old school today. I got my Sigelli 150 watt here. Got the Royal Hunter on it, and I'm also vaping on the back bray with the trigger already on top. Nice little design from Unique Vapor Innovations. As far as juices go, I got my regulars, of course: Cowtown E-Juice, strawberry, and Cowtown E-Juice banana. And I also have my tank here on the side as well. Just my Magnus tank. And that is pretty much it for me.
Oh, I went and broke out the old iStick 50 I haven't used in a while. Got the Subverter Mini with the sub-tank O-rings with some Lunar Harvest Black that I picked up from the Vape Expo, PA Vape Expo, which is really friggin' good if you haven't tried that.
I don't know how you haven't vaped all that yet. I went through that in a day.
I know, I vaped half it and then left it alone for a while. I got the Tobacco Super Tank on my IPV Mini with my all-time favorite Vista Vapors, freaking Wild Berry, which is my favorite juice. And I got the Silo Beast on my MVP 3.0 Pro with some Nick's Blissful Brews Loop Ninja in there, which I'm not too impressed with. And one more. Oh yeah, Mini Jedi with the Lannis 2 with some Troop Loops. Wherever I put that, my Troop Loops, which is from Imperial Vapors, very good shit. And that, my friends, will lead us right into labels, right? Troop Loops.
That's a good segue.
You can see that is there's a little Stormtrooper on there, and it kind of looks like a box of Fruit Loops. I mean, obviously, the guy Shane, who I've been in contact with, he's actually been so generous. He's given me a shit ton of juice to give away, and I've already put it in my 1,000 subscriber whatever. Well, I forget, 750 subscriber giveaway that I had. So he's a really nice guy, and I know. This just started happening, so I haven't talked to him since the whole label thing. But I'm wondering because he's just kind of starting up, and he's got really good juice. So I'm wondering to see what he's going to do about these labels. It's a shame, man, because I love the whole idea of the whole Star Wars theme. Like, he's got the Captain Rex, which is another Stormtrooper on there, and then you got the little baby Chewbacca, which is Bantha Milk. And I'm a Star Wars nut. All my subscribers know that. I'm like a Star Wars geek. So, it attracted me right away, and I was pleasantly surprised at how good the juice was, and I was happy about it because it was a Star Wars juice that tasted really good. But, yeah, it's a shame that, it's a shame because they're not trying to market kids. Like, it ain't, most juice companies, I'm sure they're not trying to get kids. They're trying to get adults because we as adults like kid things too. Like, I think back to a box of Fruit Loops, you know what I mean? That's what I think of. I like Fruit Loops. I liked them as a kid, and I like them still, So it's a shame that they're going to have to do this, but, how do you argue that point to an outsider looking in? You can't. You can't argue that point.
It's like the natural progression of any industry, though. To be legitimate, just a backstory, because maybe some of your viewers don't know, but a bunch of juice companies started a coalition recently, a few months back, I think, and they recently met with the FDA. And the FDA's two biggest issues right now aren't anything to do with what's in the liquid, whether harm reduction is works or not, and their biggest issues are trademark infringement and marketing to children. And so with the trademark stuff, as cool as it is, we don't see any other, you don't see liquor companies having a Chewbacca on their bottle.
Right.
It's cool, and I get it. I don't think badly of these people, but it's just kind of like the growing pains that are involved with becoming a legitimate industry.
Right.
Yeah. As far as trademark infringement goes, I don't agree with it. They really shouldn't be doing that, but that alone isn't going to stop me from vaping that juice. But I have stopped buying cartoon label stuff. I think that stuff should be boycotted.
Yeah, but I think that the whole trademark. This is America, and Matt's right when he said that. You don't see other companies, other industries doing it, and if they do, they'll be sued right away. So you got to. Think about it. If you're a juice vendor, don't copy General Mills label. That's just shouldn't do it. That's first off. General Mills is a company who got where they got through or whatever company. That's their label. You don't have a right to steal it, So, and as far as the kid thing, yeah, I get it, man. It's a shame because I like the bottles. I like looking at these things and stuff like that. But, yeah, I think instead of using, I think you're going to go for like if bottles are now plainly marked, you're not going to be drawn to these highly marketed big time labels. You're going to go after the flavor now. You know what I mean? Like you're going to be more directed towards the flavor than you are towards a label. If that makes any sense.
Well, I worked in marketing for a long time, and there is something to be said for bright colors and stuff, especially with something that would be like a food item or a taste item, like e-liquid, like you taste it, so you kind of want the colors of the fruits or anything like that to kind of but people taste with their minds before they ever taste with their tongue, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But some, you could still have cool, classy labeling. This one, I guess that's kind of a cartoon, but it says Pale Whale on it. But it's just a little bit more toned down.
Yeah, see, that's more of an adult-oriented cartoon than something like the Troop Loops.
Yeah.
Like 5 Ponds.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still, like 5 Ponds have labels that draw people in, or a certain type of people in, I guess. But definitely not marketing to children. The question is, where do you, the FDA basically said they're going to draw a thick line, and so what that tells me is there's going to be a lot of stuff in the gray area in the middle, and it's like, I've even been thinking about changing the name of my liquid. It's you don't really know where to draw the line at,
Right. Well, I think that I was thinking about that today. I would say suck my juice. You should be safe. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. Of course, some people might find it offensive, but that's just conservative people. That's not really a kid thing,
Well, the tough part is, though, when I'm, talking about it.
Right.
Then people, well, look at your line, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of, I don't know. We'll see.
I feel you. I tried to be very conservative with our stuff, and I think it's a very appealing name and theme, but it's definitely not there's no way to construe it as offensive or marketing to children, so.
I don't know. When I was 8, I wanted to be a rock star, man.
That's why we skipped Rockstar Vapes and went on tour, so it's still musically themed.
Yeah.
But it's I hope we hit the mark for what I don't know. It's still new. I'm in a soft launch, so maybe I'll get some feedback on that once I can send it out to some people.
Guys, if my audio's fuzzy or whatever, I'm sorry about it. I'm using my laptop, which I don't normally. But whatever, it'll be better next week, and my videos will be better because I'm getting all new shit, new whatever. But past that, talk about suck my juice. Yeah, I don't know what that's. I don't think that has nothing to do with trolling kids, and you don't have big cartoony labels. You got colors, fluorescent colors, right?
Yeah. What kind of got me thinking about it is that when they were in the meeting, Jeremy from Good Life Vapor took shit for having a juice called Panty Dropper. Mitch Zeller gave it, actually singled him out and brought it up, and I guess it even looked at his website and saw that they had a risque picture on there and stuff, which doesn't really fall, into the whole marketing to children or trademark infringement thing. That's just more of kind of a moral issue in my mind, but I don't know. We'll see. It's still kind of something that's up in the air.
I still never tried any of Suck My Juice, but I plan on it.
Are you going to be at the, I forget if you told me or not, are you going to be at the Pittsburgh event next weekend?
Jeez. If I could pull off a miracle, yes, but because of work, I'm still trying. I was supposed to, and was all set up to go, but work is getting in the way, and I just recently took a vacation, so that's what's. If I didn't take that vacation, then it would have been 100%. But I took that little vacation, and now I'm. But if I can get somebody to work for me, that's what I'm working on. So.
Well, what day would you go up there, Billy?
What? I heard both of you at the same time. I'm sorry.
I said, what day would you be going up to Pittsburgh?
Oh, if I go, I'll probably be there for 2 days. I mean, if I go, I'm staying overnight. I'm not just going to go and come home.
Gotcha.
So.
I can't go on Saturday, but I may be able to make it Sunday. But that's a 3-hour drive one way, so I don't know if I want to do that on Sunday or not.
Are you going to be there all 3 days, Matt?
Yeah, I'm actually flying to Baltimore on Thursday, and myself, Grim, and Sean from Plumes of Hazard, because Sean lives there, we're all driving from Baltimore to Pittsburgh. The plane tickets to Pittsburgh were like twice the price as plane tickets to Baltimore for some reason. So,
Wow.
So yeah, I'll be there Friday through Monday.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I'm in Philly. It's not. I mean, it's still a long ride, but you know, I would love to go out and stay 2 days, stay overnight, and then roll the next day. But yeah, definitely, I want to go to that because I've only been to one. I've been to one vape show, and that was the PA Vape Expo. That was recent. Me, Hank went up there, and Mike Vapes, Brian from the Vapor Chronicles, and it was a good time. But it was like it was just all juice companies and stuff like that. So I would really like to go to something like this, and check out new and different shit.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Man, I wish I was closer to you guys. That's what sucks about being up here in Canada. It's there's not much up here, so like I'm just up in Calgary, and there's talk about a show, but getting all the shit organized that you need to do, it's a mess right now. I'm trying to help out actually where I can, but it's not easy. So I got to get down to the States here for one of these shows coming up here, but I won't be able to make Pittsburgh, that's for sure.
You're about 4 hours north of me.
Yeah, because you're in Montana. So.
Yeah, in like northwest Montana, like Kalispell, Whitefish area.
Okay, yeah, pretty close actually.
There's more Canadians down here in the summertime than there are Montanans. Everybody from Calgary comes down.
I believe it. No, there's one in Toronto I think it's the last weekend of July, and I'd love to get out to it, but I'm already in Toronto a week after that for a wedding, so I'm trying to work my schedule to drive out there, maybe get about a week early, go to the show, at least get 1 day in, and then probably end up going to the wedding the week after and take like 2 weeks vacation or something. So I'd love to get down to a vape show.
They are fun. I mean, just being around that many other vapors, especially if you live in a place where there's not a ton of them, which I live in a place where there's not many vapors. So it's cool, like, being in a place where there's thousands of people that get it. You don't have to be like paranoid or embarrassed to vape.
Yeah. Oh, that's the big thing, right? I mean, even as Hank was saying in one of his videos, he went to Niagara Falls on the Canadian side. What was it, 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
And there was like no vapors up there, and a lot of places in Canada, unless it's a big city, Toronto, Calgary, or Vancouver, you're not going to have a lot of vaping as far as recognition goes.
And the dirty looks I was getting, they were insane.
Yeah.
Like people had never even heard of it before and stare like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
People still think, well, like vaping's getting a little more accepted even in smaller towns if you have like the, Cigalites or Egos. But when you're using like a box mod or something, I get looks. People think you're doing drugs basically.
Yeah. Well, when we would go out, I would just take like my iStick 50 in a tank, and I wouldn't be blowing massive clouds or anything.
Yeah, it's stealthy.
That's why, I love that Ego 1 Mega. Since I've got this, I went and got the Matrix, and I'm going to get the iJust. I didn't get that yet, but I love vaping these. Like, I feel like a normal human being, like walking around with this thing. You know what I mean? Instead of like walking around with a Sigelli, and which I really don't care, but it's just you feel different like vaping this Ego 1 Mega, And it's a quality vape, so I don't.
We actually went out last night downtown Nashville, and we went to this one karaoke bar. And it's kind of a place where it's way upstairs, so not a lot of the tourists know it's there. It's like a bunch of regulars and older crowd. But as soon as we walk in, the bouncer had a mech mod and a dripper sitting on his little table where he was like IDing people. 2 or 3 of the bartenders all had vapes, like a couple MVPs and like maybe a Sigelli. And there were big signs everywhere that said no smoking, but it was still cool to vape. So it was really interesting that like in kind of an old school bar for like older crowd, was letting everybody vape, but no, like
awesome.
strictly no smoking. Yeah, it was really cool. I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
it's awesome to see like other vapors out in the wild, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're, like, right away bonded with them, which is
Yeah.
funny because we all argue so much online, and
Oh, God.
you know, in like groups and stuff. But once you see like another vapor in person, it's like your best buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah. It's like, did we just become best friends? You know, it's every time I see a vapor, it's fucking amazing. It was, and you know what? Here's another thing to talk about because it just reminded me, kind of. I went and picked my daughter up from school. I had just gotten done from work. I still had my uniform on, which I'm walking. And I had the IPV Mini with me with the tobacco super tank. And as I'm walking home, I got past the school and I just took a quick hit, and then I hear behind me, "So what are you vaping on? What are you vaping on?" And I turn around and thinking it's going to be an adult, and it was a kid maybe in 8th grade. And I'm like, "What?" No. And he says, "What are you vaping on, dude?" I said, "How old are you?" And he said, what did he say? I'm 14. I said, 14. I said, "And you're vaping?" He's like, "Yeah." He said he had some Sigelli, something. And he's like, "How many watts, man? How many watts?" I'm like, "Dude, just keep going. Just keep going, bro." But yeah, and he was like, "Oh, man," and he literally said, "I want to blow clouds. I want to blow clouds." That's what he said. And I'm like, wow, man, is that like, are these kids starting to vape like just because it's cool to blow clouds and don't even smoke? They never even smoked. They just started vaping. And that, oh God, that it sucks to even kind of talk about it because it adds to the fire, but that it hit me. It came up right behind me, and I'm like, oh shit, that shit really is happening. Like where, you know, kids are vaping and probably never even smoked. You know,
it's tough, man, because you know, kids, teenagers, they want to do shit that they think is cool.
Yeah.
You know, just like why I started smoking when I was 15, and like I would never ever condone a minor vaping, but then I think like, God, that kid would probably be smoking cigarettes if he wasn't vaping, and it's like, you know, it's like they just had that study, and it said teenage smoking is down, you know, but vaping's up. Well, yeah, because the kids, the same rebels that would have been smoking cigarettes are vaping instead. But
Right.
you know, I would never like say that's okay. It's just kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, I agree with that too. Like, I started smoking at a young age too, and it's one of those things where, had this been available, I think it would have been a better option for me. That being said, you don't want to force on anyone, or you don't want to like market to them at all.
Exactly.
It's kind of their decision, and if they're gonna smoke, you know, what would you first? Vaping instead of smoking. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a tough call. Actually, you mentioned in one of your vlogs there, I think it was, Matt. You mentioned it, and as soon as you said it, I'm like, it's so true. Because I mean, for someone who started smoking at a young age, you definitely know, like there would have been nothing out there that would have stopped me from smoking at that point in my life.
Yeah.
Because that was just what I wanted to do.
Seems like there's just a certain type of teenager, you know, and I was one of them, you were one of them, that you're just gonna find that you're gonna rebel, and we didn't need, you know, unicorns and shit on our cigarettes to buy them. You know, cigarettes seemed cool to me because they were adult ones.
Right?
They had.
True.
I was smoking Camel Unfiltereds when I was 16, and I was like, because I'm a badass, that's why.
Yeah, man. I was smoking Lucky Strikes for a while. The filter,
Yeah, man. Those were Vietnam cigarettes, I always said. So it made you feel like a badass. So it's like, you know, the adult thing. As you know, if I were a teenager right now, I would totally have a vape. Absolutely. You know, because that's just the way I am. I fall into that, you know, category of people.
It's just it's such a taboo subject, though. It's not something that will ever go in our favor, trying to preach something like that, even though it's true. But
it's like you can't. It's hard to use a bad point to like just say that the bad thing is okay. You know what I mean? It's a terrible place we're in with that one.
I mean, I get it. You know, like we basically are at the mercy of the FDA and other government agencies right now. So you kind of have to, you know, if they're saying something like you either self-regulate or, you know, we're going to do it for you, you kind of have to jump through the hoops. Right. So I get it. You know, people have to change, but
and we're lucky that that's the situation, and it's not what we all thought it might have been, doomsday, like, all e-cigs or nothing.
Well, there's so much shit up in the air right now.
Right.
If it does come down that it's really bad, then there's going to be lots and lots of lawsuits, and this is going to be drug out for years, probably.
Exactly. And a lot of people say, I can do it. I can make my own juice. I can make a mech mod in my garage. Sure, you can, but that's not what it's about. Like, I have enough stuff here now to make my own juice for the next 5 years probably. That's not what it's about. It's about keeping it going, keeping innovation going. And if we stick together and not be a bunch of douchebags and put the Tricks rabbit on our bottles, maybe we can keep this hobby that we love around for years to come.
Well, just look at that company R&D, that juice company. Their flavors are Tricks and Nerds.
Yeah.
And something else like that, and they have no mention. There's no logo, there's no cartoon. It's just a black bottle with a white lettering that says Tricks.
Right.
Well, and if it goes underground, all of us might be okay, because we might have the resources and stuff. But what about the new vapors, people that are wanting to get off cigarettes? It's the next generation of smokers is not going to be going to vaping if it goes underground.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get what you're saying, Matt. Matt, did you hear about, I guess it's the head of the FDA, he was saying he's going to change his attitude and have a closer look at nicotine as pertaining to not just, it's more dangerous in tobacco and not as dangerous when you get your nicotine in other ways, and vaping being one of them. Did you hear anything about that?
Yeah, I had a few pretty long conversations with people that were at the meeting, and from what I heard, he kind of seemed very up in the air about it. He wasn't, he didn't have his mind made up either way, which is a good thing. I mean, because originally we thought they were going to come out with final regs here in June, which is this month, right? Yeah, it's June. Sure. And so obviously that's not going to happen. I think that there's just been enough studies and there's been enough, respected scientists lately that have shown that, nicotine in itself shows some promise when it comes to, obviously it's not as, it's come out that it's not as bad for our health as we thought, but then, there's been more and more and that's what needs to happen is the longer we can draw all this shit out and we can get them to not make up their mind, the more studies will happen, the more numbers we'll have, the more money we'll have. So it's kind of, if this was a year ago and they had to make up their mind a year ago, he probably would have been anti-nicotine. But because there's been a little more info, now they're undecided on it. So it should be interesting what happens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this industry, it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, while the smoking industry, the tobacco industry, is getting smaller. Well, at least in America. If you look in Indonesia and Malaysia, I think it was something like 65% of adult males smoke over there. And I watched, because there's that big, Richard NG and the guys from over here in Malaysia. I watched this. They had this video where kids literally, right outside the schools, they have these little, I guess, things, like the little huts, and they have lighters on chains so the kids can leave the schoolyard and go over there and smoke. And I'm talking 5th grade and shit like that. So yeah, this is not just an American thing. It's amazing what the big tobacco actually has done. With meaning we stopped them from advertising on TV and all that, Joe Camel and all that, but they literally moved everything they have done and just brought it to other countries, and third world countries, and literally are suing other countries, literally suing Australia because they're banning them from doing things on TV and cartoon characters. So it's amazing. There's no. What I'm trying to say is you don't put anything past tobacco, but they will go to any lengths to stop us. I mean, and what they do with those cigalikes, they try to say, yeah, we're involved with vaping too, but they make it just so it's just not satisfying enough to where you will go back smoking. That's my point of it. My view. Like, if you start vaping on a cigalike, you're going to vape that for a week or two, and then you're going to go back to smoking. And that's what they want.
So yeah, that's definitely one of the theories, is that, you know, the big tobacco obviously knows that they could come out with better products, but they don't want to. They want to make a little bit of cash off of e-cigs, but their big money is always going to be in cigarettes. I'm sure the profit margin is probably higher in a pack of cigarettes than vape gear. And, you know, that's where there's even infighting in big tobacco right now. R.J. Reynolds is totally against open tank systems, but then Altria is now come out for open tank systems, and is actually, that's another thing that a lot of people don't know, but Altria has helped in a lot of these state issues, more than anybody wants to admit, because no one wants to say, hey, big tobacco helped us. And, you know, we don't want to look like we're in bed with them, but it's true. So Altria must have their own their own selfish reasons for it, but they must be coming out with an open tank system line or something like that. But it's kind of weird, because those two have been butting heads lately and throwing money at each other, and it's been, I don't know, the whole way that everything is going down is just kind of, it's just interesting. I don't know. Well, a lot of shit that is just up in the air right now, and we'll find out a lot more, you know, over the next year.
Who's the bigger company, Matt?
What was that?
Who's the bigger company, Altria or
Altria is for open tank systems, and then R.J. Reynolds is against open tank systems.
No, I mean, which company is bigger? Which company makes more?
As far as who is larger, I don't know. That's a good question. You know, Altria is Philip Morris. R.J. Reynolds is what, Camel, and I don't know, man. Honestly, I would guess R.J. Reynolds might be a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, even Grim talked about in one of his videos about, you know, what do you feel is necessary? Should we be embracing the support of tobacco companies, or should we be trying to get off on our own and fighting the battle? I mean, it's a good conversation, and it's one of those things where you think about it, and it's hard to really say to just shut down tobacco companies altogether without at least considering the option of how much money they have and how much they can actually, I hate to admit it, but almost help us out in some ways by shaking that stereotype.
Yeah.
It also makes you wonder, though, if it's a Trojan horse kind of thing.
Well, that's a good point too.
Well, you just keep your friend. You know, you'd never want to blindly trust them. Obviously, it's keep your friends close and your enemies closer. You know, the whole thing with the grandfather date, where they're talking about pushing the grandfather date to 2015. That was all Altria's doing. Altria's lobbyist is apparently friends with John Boehner in the House. No one is getting, you know, if you go on like the advocacy groups and stuff, no one wants to say that, because it's kind of like what we were talking about before. It's just one of those like taboo subjects that we don't want to like give Altria props or anything, but they've definitely made some headway.
Right. I think something a lot of people don't maybe give thought to is they might be helping to push all this back, like the Altria thing and the grandfather date, so that way they can get their shit straight and try and take a big piece of the market. You know, like they could realize, hey, exactly, we fucked up. We let this get too big on its own, and now we can't make it go away. So let's take it over and make that our thing now. You know.
Yeah, they have their own there's a selfish reason there.
Oh, yeah.
They probably just think that it's going to happen regardless, so they might as well cash in on it and embrace it before any of the other big tobacco companies do, and maybe they'll end up having the biggest, you know, e-cig line as far as open tanks and stuff.
Now, let me ask something about something that most people don't even talk about, like partisanship. Which I'm coming from Philly, which is, I mean, I'm in a big city, so it's blue. You know what I mean? Which party is mainly on our side or the other side, or is it just a mix? Would you say?
As far as I've seen people on both sides of the aisle for it and against it. I think a lot of it's got to do with the lobbyists too. Who are these people friends with?
Yeah. Back when it really first started blowing up, and I saw like an hour-long rerun of it being talked about in the Senate. I think this is right when the regulations started gaining steam, like as far as the FDA was opening up the comment period and stuff. There was like a Democratic senator from North Carolina, of all places. It was like, well, wait a minute, now this might be a good technology, and that really surprised the shit out of me that a Democrat from the big tobacco state was like on our side.
In the states, generally, the Republicans are a little bit more friendly. And I'm a liberal. I've said that before in my videos, but obviously I side with whoever's on our side with this issue. Right. In the states, it's been more the Republicans because of the small business aspect of it. None of them want most of them ran on business, small businesses, and they're pro small business. So none of them want to look like they're shutting down an industry. Nationally, I think it's kind of a mixed bag. Maybe still a little more Republican approval than Democrats, which is funny because you'd think that Democrats would be for something that makes you healthier, but the problem is a lot of these Democrats are obviously in bed with some of these health organizations, Heart and Lung Association, and the health organizations are against vaping. A lot of people say because the health organizations get their money from big tobacco. So there's a lot of dirty politics going on in there on both sides of the aisle. I mean, neither of them are really much better than the other.
Right.
Yeah, that's. And yeah, personally, I mean, being from the city, of course, I mean, you got to be Democrat to get anything done in the city. That's just the way it rolls. I'm definitely not a conservative, and I'm not a liberal personally. I probably side more with the only because I live in the city, more with the liberal side. But yeah, that was a question that I don't hear too much people talking about: party lines, red, blue, and where we stand. And that's my guess was somewhere in the middle, and it's and like. I know in Pennsylvania it seemed like Democrats are basically against the whole vaping thing and Republicans didn't have much of a say on it. And then you watch something like Fox News, which is more of a conservative channel, and you got a lot of defense of vaping on that channel. It's weird, man.
It's really just whoever's what their interests are.
Right.
If they're in bed with somebody that doesn't like vaping, they're not going to like vaping.
Yeah.
That's where it really comes to contacting your representatives, contacting the people that you put into office, and letting your voice be heard. And I know we hear this all the time, and people just don't get it, I don't think. They just hear it, and it's whatever, but it works. I can't remember which state it was, but there was one recently where people showed up and a bill against I think it was an unfair tax or something was shot down, and originally the senators or the representatives were for the bill. So it does work.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think that they can do anything. Like they don't think that their voice makes a difference. On a national level, maybe it doesn't, in a lot of ways. But on a state level, you absolutely can make a difference, especially in some of these smaller. You want to look and see who's sponsoring the bill, and see where they're from. A lot of these people only won their races by about 15, 20, 30 votes in some of these small little areas, and you can easily sway the vote. If they think they're going to lose, they're going to back off. So,
right.
If you think that you can bring out the vote against them. Vaping is one of those things that they call like a wedge issue, where people become single issue voters. I'm a Democrat and usually vote for Democrats, but I'm willing to vote for a Republican because I feel strongly for vaping, and I think a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people feel that way because it affects us more than anything else that they're going to do, really.
Right. I'm the same way. I'll vote across the party line. Absolutely. Yeah. And anytime I do a call to action, I always add my own to it, and I always put that in the beginning to make sure that there's a better chance that they actually see it. And I'll tell them that. And I'll try to do some. A lot of the times it's sent out to a bunch of people, so I can't make it real specific because I just let CASAA do it for me. But I will tell them, like, look, this is probably the most important issue to me right now, and that's what I'm going to vote on. And if you're not with me, I'm voting against you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that works. I think I said that in a video a while back, but that hits them a lot more than you talking about your success story and how vaping saved your life. It's sad to say it, but they care more about losing their job.
Right. Because right now, I don't give a shit about minimum wage. I don't give a shit about taxes, other than on the vape shit. This is my main focus right now.
Right.
And that's what I'm going to vote on.
And yeah, and to touch on what you just said, like people think they can't do much. I'm gonna shout out a reviewer who he did something that impressed me. The Don, I don't know if any of you know him, he has a YouTube channel. He went and literally went down to Washington, and he had a sheet of paper of all the guest speakers, and they were all CEOs and all these other important people, and then you had Donald, whatever his last name was. And he spoke there, and he went over his speech and what he spoke. So he went just as a common man and went and spoke there, and his speech was pretty good from what he read on his review that he talked about. But I think he may have made a difference. He went there on his own with a bunch of CEOs, and so you don't think that you can't do anything. I literally went to my congressman, who I know from my neighborhood. He was elected. He's from my neighborhood, so I know him. I went to his office. I talked to him about it, and I think I literally touched something because he had no clue. He had no clue about it. He just thought it was on Facebook. And I talked to him, and I told him about me and my wife. He was like, wow, get out of here. I had no clue. He really didn't know. So he might have switched on the issue because of, not switched on the issue, but had him think more into it because of what I said to him. You know what I mean? So don't think that you can't do something on your own, because you can.
I've done the same thing, too. My fire company is very active in the local politics, and so we are always having county commissioners and stuff come to our meetings. And I talked to one after a meeting one time, one of the county commissioners, and that's very local. That's very localized, but there's nothing going on in my county right now. But he's like, I hear what you're saying. I'm going to keep that in mind. And then when they take stuff to the state level, they can take that with them as well.
It's important that we get non-vapers on our side as well. Like you guys are firefighters. Everyone else in your station probably knows how it's helped you and saved your life. And yeah, I mean, firefighters, like in a city, they have a voice for sure. They, with the union and whatnot.
Absolutely.
They're a big voice in politics with the that line of work. So it's a cool thing for sure.
Yeah, I can tell you, just like in my firehouse, like that, you're not allowed to smoke in there because there's guys that just don't like the smell of it or whatever. So when I did smoke, I used to go outside or on the apparatus floor away from everybody. But now I walk around and I vape all the time, and they call it my hookah pipe, and but nobody minds it. Like they'll try and guess what I'm vaping on. They'll smell it and be like, is that strawberry, or you know what I mean? They'll try. Not one person, even when the chief comes in, he's seen me vape, and I didn't even know he showed up, and they turn around and see me vaping and everything. You're not allowed to, you're not supposed to, but nobody minds it, and people start asking questions about it, and it draws up a lot of conversations. And I see more and more firefighters actually vaping, putting smoke in. Like today, I worked today at a ladder company, and there was a girl there, and she asked me to set her up. So I set her up I sent her to a website that had the Ego 1 Mega or the Ego 1 whatever. I sent her links for each one to check them out. So hopefully that helped her, you know what I mean? But that's how quick it can spread from just and then she might help somebody else out, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah. See, up in Canada, to be honest, there's not a ton of discussion as far as vaping goes in politics right now. And I hope it stays that way, but I mean, if trends follow suit, we're pretty much going to end up having the same discussions, a year or two down the road, like you guys are having down in the States. I mean, that's the thing, is that Canada's always a little bit behind, but it does usually catch up, and that's a scary thought, is where is it going to go, and what direction are people going to see it from? Is it going to be the same issues that you guys are having in the States, or are we going to have people who are actually supporting it and are willing to put their ass on the line to stand up for us? And I think that's going to be interesting to see, like I said, maybe a year down the road. It's not going to be something that's going to just kind of progress. I think it's going to come out of nowhere. It's one day going to be a topic of issue, and all of a sudden it's going to spread like wildfire.
That may be a good thing for you guys, though. I mean, now's the time to get your Canadian community together and learn from what's happening here in the States.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the thing is, there's not a ton of vaping advocacy sites for Canada. Vaping Militia does involve Canada, so any Canadians watching, go check out Vaping Militia. They're awesome. I just signed up myself about a week ago. Nothing good things to say. There you go, Josh.
Yeah, Vaping Militia. And I really like them because they try and establish it as like a communication network above all else. It's like, a way for all of us to be like, hey, something's happening right now. Everybody needs to drop what they're doing, shoot an email to this senator. It's important. And it's about staying, ready. A militia is like, the Minuteman. Like there's somebody in chat called the Vaping Minuteman.
They're more grassroots than...
Yeah, grassroots. And we have to focus a lot on the local stuff. Like the FDA and federal level takes time. And a lot of gears are turning and a lot of stuff could happen with that. But locals, they can shut shops down in a county overnight, with just an ordinance like vaping's out. Just like Arkansas and Indiana, overnight it was the whole scenery was changed, and because the local level can move so much faster. So I think it's important we have a communication network. They can get the word out. It's all over Facebook within a few minutes of somebody finding out, and we can all act on it while it's important.
That's where it's important for people to preemptively, get organized as well. A lot of people right now are like, oh, thank God, nothing's going. There were people a few months ago that were like, oh, there's nothing going on in Kansas, we're good. And now all of a sudden there's something dropped in Kansas. Montana was the same way. I thought Montana would be like the last state where they would try anything. It's all about freedom and lots of libertarians and stuff. And they did. They tried something. So it's better to like have that lobbyist in place beforehand and to have, a SFATA chapter or whatever, because it's not like the government's out broadcasting to everyone, hey, we're going to have a meeting. They want to do it secretly, and they want to push this shit through. And unless you have, a lobbyist there, somebody on the inside, you're not going to hear about it until way later.
Oh, yeah. And you got to watch them. They'll do tricky stuff. They'll bring up something huge, like, hey, we're going to renovate all the parks in the county, and that'll be the bill. And then there'll be a little side package, like paragraph A, and we're also banning vaping. And then it'll get signed through because everybody's like, yay, new parks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It goes down a lot like that a lot of times. They're very sneaky with what they do.
Well, we actually talked about the vape expos earlier, but I'm just curious, do you guys think that having more vape expos is affecting the politics overall? Is it being brought to the public's attention in a much more demanding way, I guess? I mean, where it's... Because in Canada, we don't have those vape expos, like I said. I mean, we're having, I think it's our second one in Toronto. But overall, there's not many out there, and I think that's part of the issue as to why no one's really focusing on it. Whereas in the States, there's all these vape expos. There's probably 3 or 4 a month from what I've seen all over the place. So I'm wondering if that in any way, or if you guys think in any way, it affects the judgment or perception of a politician seeing all these vape expos come up.
I think it affects in 2 ways, good and bad. It brings, more people to the fold and more attention to it, but also then, how do you look at when you got these half-naked girls dancing around, you got all these fans, does that draw in negative attention? Does it draw in a younger crowd? You know what I mean? Like, oh man, my buddies are going over to this vape expo, and I heard they got some hot chicks dancing around half naked, and you know what I mean? Like, so it makes you wonder in that way. Does that bring negative light on us? But also, is it bringing a positive light on us by having more people get together, more people talking, more people, And like you said, Matt, in your video about the one expo that you went to, where they had nobody involved whatsoever with advocacy, like none whatsoever, like.
I think, and honestly, some of the vape expos I've been to, it was, more bad happened than good. To be honest with you, I think they're a great thing, and I love going. I love meeting other vapors and stuff. But like, for example, when I was at Vapor Slam in North Carolina, there were like vapors out in the parking lot, like breaking glasses at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and like obviously vaping and drunk as shit, and it's just. I get, obviously that had nothing to do with the fact that they're vapors, but that's what people see. They're like, oh, all these vapors came to town and they all partied and they were all disrespectful. It's just like with any big group of people. You could have a big firefighter convention somewhere, and you might have a couple assholes that make everyone look bad. But that's just what happens. Then people think, oh, those firefighters came to town and they were assholes.
Yeah.
You can't really regulate everyone. It's not like you can control what everyone does, but there's obviously, we have some douchey people in this in this hobby and this industry, just like any others have.
Right, and it's blowing up right now. Like there's so much money in it, and you get some people that end up with a lot of money. And Matt, me and you experienced it. We saw it happen at Slam. That one guy trying to get up on stage while they're talking about advocacy, just to like throw out bottles of juice. It's like, what are you doing? So there are going to be those douchebag elements to it. And of course, they're going to try and steal the limelight to do a juice giveaway when we're trying to talk about, saving what we love.
Well, this douchebag went to a PA Vape Expo, and then at the hotel later that night, I set off the smoke alarm.
You're awful, man. But at least you're a firefighter. You can just say, hey, it's cool.
Right, you were checking it to make sure it worked.
It was a test.
You thought they weren't up to... Yeah, you could spin that one. You thought they weren't up to regulation or something.
Oh, man. Yeah.
This is a certified fire alarm testing device.
And I can tell you, they were... Oh, man. Yeah, that was embarrassing, to say the least. But hey, let me give a shout out anyway to one of the. He's a newer reviewer. You talked about the Vaping Minuteman.
Yeah.
He's in the chats. He started a new channel, and it's all about advocacy. It's him and
Cool.
a friend of his, and they do this show and they talk about advocacy. And he's got a lot of knowledge. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to advocacy. He does his research. So guys, if you're in the chat room, whoever else, stop over. He's only got 1 or 2 videos up, and I've watched them. And he's doing a good job, and I can see good things for him in the future. Vaping Minuteman, check him out.
Yeah, I second that, actually. I've been watching this video. I've just seen the first one so far. I don't know if there's a second one yet, but it's entertaining. It's informative. It's a great channel to watch, so big shout-out to you, Vaping Minuteman, and I know you've been a subscriber of mine, and I think Vapin Heathen thanks as well for a while, and I'm sure you've subscribed to Matt and Josh, but no, awesome, man. Huge shout-out to you.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to check it out. Never heard of the name. I like that name, though. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. I saw that in chat. I was like, that is a good name.
So we touched on a couple briefly of the different organizations just mentioned. So there's the big three, I like to call them, CASAA, the Vaping Militia, and SFATA. So Matt or Josh, do either one of you know the big differences between the three?
Josh, you want to go or you want me to go?
Well, I don't know much about SFATA, so I'll let you cover that one. I know CASAA is more of a federal level, like the big picture for consumers, and then I think SFATA is for vendors more aligned up with. And I know the Vaping Militia, which is what I'm most active in, is, like I said, kind of a communication network. Like, hey guys, this is what's on the table right now. This is where we need our attention today.
Yeah, SFATA is it's for the businesses. It's
right.
It's for the businesses to organize. They have different chapters in different states. They all pay a fairly large, well, not super large for a business. They probably pay like $1,000 a year or something. I'm just pulling that out of my ass, but I know it's a pretty large amount. And the SFATA chapters are usually the ones that are involved with hiring the lobbyists in these states.
Mm-hmm.
They'll organize that part of it. And CASAA CASAA obviously isn't just about vaping. They also have are about smokeless tobacco. And like Josh said, they're kind of more on a federal level. They do calls of action to each state and stuff, but they don't necessarily I don't think they get super involved in the different states. Vaping Militia is a little more grassroots. they might know a little more what's, like when Montana had a problem, I talked to Vaping Militia. I talked to Joe at Vaping Militia, and it's kind of tough because sometimes people think that they do the exact same thing, but it is just a little bit different. CASAA is a little more broader, and Vaping Militia is just a little more grassroots, pound the pavement, kind of shit. I hope I said that well enough, but I'm kind of drawing a blank now. I should have been prepared.
Well, I shouldn't be asking you guys. I should know too, but I'm not real big into any of the organizations. I've just signed up, and when I get an email, I do what they tell me to do.
Right.
That's mainly my focus is always on public image. Like I said, I've talked about it in some of my videos before. I'm always trying to educate non-vapors and trying to educate asshole vapors.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, there's so many people out there who they don't realize the harm they're doing when they sit there and, I mean, especially in Canada. I don't know if it's still the same in a lot of the states, but there's still really no laws around it yet. So for me, the way I vape personally, I will pretty much vape 99% of the places I vape are places where I would have smoked. So outside, usually outside somewhere. The worst place in my mind, well, there's two places I don't think I can support someone vaping in, especially a restaurant, because I think that's kind of crossing a line. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just feel like if you're sitting there in a restaurant, people are eating around you, and you're vaping, that's probably one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. And I've seen it once, and it's awful. I mean, as a vapor, I walked over and told them to stop, because it was that bad. The second place is like a mall. I feel like the mall is one of the worst places. We talked about it earlier, marketing material and things like that. When you're sitting there walking down a mall and you're vaping and there's a bunch of kids there, I mean, it's just, and that's, the kids who are there are usually the same ones who are in that age range of that 12 to 15 type range.
I've vaped in a mall.
And that's just my opinion.
I've vaped in a mall, but I hid it. Like,
Yeah,
I took a quick hit, you know what I mean? Like back behind the clothes in the corner. I was like,
if you can stealth vape, it's fine. Like, I've stealth vaped in airports and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. There's a fine line there where, like, you don't necessarily want to, like, okay, you got some vapors that are just, like, in your face, and they think, okay, we got to just be vaping everywhere. So they accept it and they just get used to it, and it doesn't become weird for them anymore. Right. That goes a little too extreme. You don't necessarily like want to be embarrassed by it. Like if you're out on the street or something, like be proud of it, I guess. But yeah, you don't want to really like vape where it's gonna bother people. Like people are gonna be, restaurant absolutely, or even a grocery store, just places where you're gonna get dirty looks because people just are going to think that you're disrespectful. But when you're out in the streets and stuff, or you're in different places that it's a little more acceptable, then go for it. But yeah, I stealth vape a lot. Like movie theater, I always sit in the back row. Hold it in for a long time so not a lot of vapor comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because one of the first things I got, one of the first devices I got, this is going back like 2.5 years ago, it was before I really started considering myself a vapor. It was just, I got a CASAA, it was one of the blue ones actually, I believe, and it came with a card that said, "This is your card to show anywhere that you can now smoke indoors." Like it was, I don't know what the exact wording was, but I mean, I went back I'm not gonna lie, I went back smoking after that for another 1.5 years before I quit again, which is where I'm at now. But I mean, it was one of those things where it's just, I think that kind of promotion is what we don't want in the vaping industry.
Right.
I remember those cards. Well, there's one thing too with those where it was like it looked like a little cigarette, and you barely had any vapor. Oh, now when someone's got like a big old clunky box mod and some weird looking tank or something on it, it's a little different, and you're blowing out clouds. But I remember the blue. I mean, that thing, you could hold the vapor in for a couple extra seconds and it would be gone. Like you could stealth vape those easy.
Oh yeah, it's a respect thing. There's a lot to do with respect about it. just don't be a jackass. Like, I have friends that I'll go out with them to even the bars and stuff that allow you to smoke, and they'll blow these huge clouds, and I'll see them waft over the next 2 or 3 tables, like all in everybody's faces. I'm like, what are y'all doing? It's not really cool, man.
Yeah.
I agree. The one bar here in my town, they allow us to vape, and it's funny because I didn't know that, and I saw this older lady sitting there at the bar drinking or vaping on her Ego, and I said, "Oh, you guys allow vaping?" And they're like, "Yeah." So I pulled this out, and the bartender was like, "Holy shit, what is that?" And I took one hit, and I got some looks, and I said, "You know what? I'm just gonna go outside." And that's ever since. I go outside with the smokers and vape, and I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
All right, guys. We touched on advocacy, and we can't talk enough about it. But it's coming to the end. So if you guys want to talk about anything else, our channels, ourselves, anything, Robbie's beautiful eyes, anything that comes up. I'm sure other people want to hear some things. Usually we go off topic, and we actually didn't today, which is very surprising. But, is there anything that anybody wants to get off their chest or? Yeah.
I do want to share one more thing. I'm going to try and do the screen share thing so I can kind of show you all so it's more of an impact. This really awesome entire screen, I think. I don't know. This really awesome organization called the I'm Proof movement is where I got my start. Like, the very first video I ever did was for the I'm Proof movement, and it was evidently 1 year and like 5 days ago, right? And what it is it's people telling their stories. The one that really got me was this lady right here, Karen Lee. She's like 60 or 70 or something and smoked for 40, 50 years. And then started off with like cardo tanks, and now look at her. She's got more mods than Matt does.
I remember watching that one. Video.
That one's got a really big impact, and it got me interested in it. It got me interested in the fight and like more advanced devices. I did my video and earned my little embroidered achievement badge here, you can see, and it just got me going. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a YouTube channel and try and help some people out and maybe spread the word about this. So I think this is a really awesome movement. Go check it out. You can submit a quick little video like with your cell phone, and it's always going to have a really special place in my heart because that is where I got my start. So
I kind of forgot about the I'm Proof movement. It seems like it might have died out a little bit lately.
I think it has a little, but that's why I've been trying lately to try and put some more people back to it. It's like I haven't seen any new videos because one or two of those, like that lady I just showed you, it's a really good moving video, and I think we should all be sharing that.
I forgot about it too. I think VapeRev had something to do with starting that.
Yeah, they were involved in that.
Yeah.
I gotta check it out. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd really like them to get going again so they might make some more hats. Their hats have been out of stock for about 6 months, and it's killing me.
Josh, I want to say when we decided that we were going to do an advocacy video or an episode, I knew we needed help, and I wanted you on because I go back to that video you made during the what was it? It's the one where you were sitting on your porch and you kept going, "What are you doing?" Yeah. That was the one. Yeah, that was the one from you that really made me kind of focus a little more on what's actually going on with it.
Right, and that one was spurred by, I think it was just a few days before the comment period ended, and we had like hardly any comments. One of Matt's videos.
That's what it was. Free to Vape, I think, was going on at that point too.
Yeah, one of Matt's videos gets more views than we had like comments submitted. You know what I'm saying? Those are really weird numbers, you would think. So I was kind of angry, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to put a video up that maybe you'll have, if I spur one person towards doing a comment that hasn't already, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Matt, you do enough in your vlogs and stuff, and you always seemed very knowledgeable, and that's why we wanted you on as well.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, I need to, I think this week I'm going to do another video, like an advocacy update, because it's been a while since I've done them. They're moving and stuff. I've kind of gotten off track, but it's tough. I think sometimes we forget about it. you know, we get all pumped up for something, and then regular life and new devices and shit like that comes in, you know, and then a new story happens, like this thing with the liquid people meeting with the FDA, and then it's back in the, you know, back in our minds again. So the hardest thing is just staying motivated.
Yeah.
And people just got to try to stay on top of it.
And we can't be too comfortable with everybody. I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, cool, they're just going to let us regulate ourselves now. We're good," and then just kind of let it go, and then it's going to get turned around on us, and it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
And while I'm thinking about it, Matt, you should make an I'm proof video. That would be pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get on there. It's been a year probably since I was on that site. I need to check it out again.
I gotta check that out. I've never even heard that.
I've been thinking about doing like an updated one.
That's a good idea.
Let me ask you something, Matt. I'm sure you know. Like, I've just during this broadcast, I've got contacted by 2 vendors through private message, and do they always ask you if they're going to send you a product to give them a good review?
No. I mean, some might joke or something, but I try to review for people that kind of don't try to micromanage.
Yeah.
The liquid guys are like usually the most hardcore. Like they're the ones like, you know, emailing you every day, asking you when you're going to do the review or asking if you're going to, like, I don't even respond to liquid manufacturers anymore, and because we're not taking on any more juice reviews, and like they won't even take no for an answer. They try to manipulate.
They're like, well, we'll just send you some and you can just try it, and then
they send it, and then they're like, so you want to review it?
Right.
Like, I mean, I would try to just tell people that you're independent, and I don't know, blow them off if they get too pushy like that. Thing is, like,
I just basically said if I'm going to review it, I'm going to give an honest review. I mean, I don't know if it was a joke or whatever, but they said you give a good review, okay? I mean, it's kind of broken English too from this, you know.
yeah.
I was just wondering how kind of that went, because it's weird. I don't know what it's weird. As soon as I hit 1,000 subscribers, I got contacted right away. I was like, whoa, that's weird.
Just wait until all the emails from the Chinese wholesalers start coming in.
Yeah, I've already got some of those. It's crazy.
It gets worse. I'm sure Matt.
Bigger rate to spam.
1,000 like usually seems to be the threshold where like once you hit 1,000, you kind of get on some people's radar. Same thing happened with me. You'll probably get contacted by a lot more juice companies first. I mean, that was what happened with us. There's a lot of juice companies.
Yeah, it's like a natural progression. You review what you own already, and then juice companies seek you out, and then some hardware, you know.
But I would just let them know, you know, like I don't like it when people ask me like all my thoughts and stuff beforehand, because you know they're just like trying to they're fishing for information, and if you say, oh, I don't like it, then they're going to be like, well, don't review it then. So I don't know. I try to be vague, or I just, no, I didn't see that email. Sorry.
Matt, don't give away our secrets, man.
Yeah. But
you can blame it on bad service. You're up in the sticks. Be like, oh, my Wi-Fi was out. Sorry.
Well, like reviewing for just like vendors, like online shops and stuff, they're usually the best because they just want their name out there.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, if you got like a juice manufacturer or like a modder, and that's their baby, that one product is like their baby, then they're way more paranoid about your review and worried about what you're gonna say. But viewers are way more cutthroat and mean than any of the manufacturers are. So I care more about pissing them off than one manufacturer.
Yeah. Only once ever has a manufacturer gotten back to me after a video and been like, hey, can you delete that? I thought that was pretty funny. She just sent me a message, was like, could you please delete the video? No, I can't. I'm sorry.
Well, sometimes people think like they don't get it. They think they're just like helping you out or something, and they think that like you're, because they gave you something that you're just gonna give them a glowing review and you're there to be their commercial.
Right.
It's like, dude, it's a review. I'm supposed to give my thoughts on it. Any vendor that sends something out, they need to know that it's just up in the air and could be good, could be bad.
Yeah.
No, good call on that. But yeah, I mean, thanks again, Matt. Thanks, Josh, for coming on. It's been amazing.
No problem. No problem.
Advocacy, which is obviously a topic we can go on for a long time about, but it was great having both of you on here. I think you guys were right for this video in particular, so thank you guys very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I pretty much just lost the last 5 minutes. I don't know what happened. I went out. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us. It really, really appreciate it. And it goes to show, I mean, I've contacted a few reviewers and I got no reply. So I really appreciate you replying, coming on the show, Matt and Josh, and we're newer reviewers, and you're taking the time out to help us and actually bring, you guys got, lots of subscribers, and I'm sure some of your subscribers came over and watched our show, and so you really helped us out. You brought some knowledge to the table, and we really appreciate it. So thank you.
No problem. No problem.
Yep, guys. Basically, what they said. I can't thank you enough for coming on and helping us with this. Like I said, you two are much more knowledgeable than I know I am anyway, and we needed help, and thank you so much for helping us. Before we take off, I want to let anybody know here that is in chat or that's viewing, if you haven't subscribed to those two guys, what are you doing?
Thanks, man.
Also, I have my giveaway going on right now. You have literally like a couple minutes, because depending on how long we stay on after I stop the broadcast, as soon as we're done with that, I'm going to draw the winners. So if you haven't entered it, you want to, hurry up. And that's all I've got to say, guys. Thank you again.
Glad to be here.
On anytime, man.
And
Yeah,
thank you for the $80 drip tip.
Yeah, glad to be here. If just for a parting note, if you're not a member of CASAA, go sign up. It's free. Vaping Militia. If you can't spare the $30 to become a member, you do get some pretty sweet customized dog tags, and then you're helping out the cause. At least join up with their Facebook group. Come check out our Facebook page, our YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, that's another thing we should mention is the Facebook groups for both of those. For CASAA, it's We Are CASAA, and then the Vaping Militia group is just Vaping Militia, and you can really learn a lot joining both of those groups.
Absolutely.
There's new links, new info all the time, more so than what you'll even see on their site. So everyone should be in those groups.
Yeah, absolutely. Both Facebook groups are great. You can always get like up-to-the-date stuff going on. There's always intelligent conversations, and you can go ask for different speaking points, if you're trying to tell your friends about vaping and how it helps. They're really good resources, the two Facebook groups.
Yeah, we'll post links to all those in the description as well, just so people can go check them out. Facebook, their websites. I think we should post the link to I Am Proof, because I think we should kind of get that going back again. I'm curious to find out what it's all about, so that'll be a lot of fun.
I Am Proof's awesome.
And I'll post some Canadian ones down there as well, so you can see them. And like I said, it's all about support, and as vapors, we gotta stick together. And it's great having people like Matt and Josh representing the community as they do. So it's been an awesome show, guys, and thank you all for watching.
Robbie, your igloo is beginning to melt.
Yeah. They need a Canadian version of CASAA, just called like We Are CASAA. They need that. That Facebook group started.
CASAA. What's that all about?
Sorry, man. I had to throw one Canadian joke.
I didn't think I'd get this long actually without Vapin Heathen saying anything. He's usually the one who poke jokes at that.
All right, guys, we signing off live.
Yep. Everybody who's been in here live tonight, thank you all so much for tuning in, and please stop by again next week, 10 p.m. Sunday night.
Same bat time.
Peace.
Take it
Thanks,
easy,
guys.
everybody.